In the shadow of empires, one ruler chose fear as his greatest weapon. His name was Vlad III of Wallachia. In history remembers him as Vlad the Impaler.
His land stood trapped between two superpowers, survival never guaranteed.
To the south, the Ottoman Empire advanced like a storm.
Vlad knew he could not win by numbers, only by terror. Every decision he made was meant to send a message. His war was fought in shadows as much as on battlefields.
He destroyed food, fields, and roads conquered, denying invaders the means to survive.
Civilians often paid the price of medieval warfare.
War left no corner untouched.
But what they found ahead would haunt their memories forever.
Vlad's message was simple. Invasion would bring unimaginable consequences. Even hardened warriors struggled to face the sight. Psychological warfare had become Vlad's greatest defense.
Fear can travel farther than any army. Reports of Vlad's methods spread quickly through enemy ranks.
Stories grew darker with every retelling. In Europe, printed pamphlets turned him into a legend of horror.
Some tales were true, others exaggerated for political gain.
History would be written by both his enemies and his rivals.
To his people, he was a harsh but decisive ruler.
He enforced law with unforgiving severity.
Order was maintained through fear.
Crime, some said, nearly vanished under his rule.
Legends claimed even a coin left in public would remain unclaimed.
But across the border, fear grew in the Ottoman camps.
Every shadow felt like a threat.
Vlad's forces struck swiftly and disappeared just as fast. He attacked not to conquer, but to terrify.
Morale weakened with every encounter. Even the great Sultan Mehmed faced an enemy unlike any before.
Determined to end Vlad's resistance, the Sultan marched north. Water sources destroyed. Crops reduced to smoke. An army cannot fight without supplies.
Fear did the rest.
The message stood waiting at the edge of the woods.
Even a conqueror of Constantinople paused.
Vlad had turned terror into strategy.
Far beyond Wallachia, his reputation spread.
Some saw him as a monster.
These others as a necessary defender.
Propaganda blurred the line between fact and fiction. But behind every legend stood a man fighting for survival.
Not all battles were fought with fear alone. Steel still met steel on the battlefield.
And losses were heavy on both sides.
War spared no one.
People prayed for peace, but peace never came easily. Leadership meant bearing the weight of every decision.
History rarely shows the cost on the ruler himself.
Enemies closed in from all sides.
Allies could turn into threats overnight.
Allies could turn into threats overnight.
Eventually, betrayal would reach him too. Power in Wallachia changed hands more than once.
But the legend of Vlad only grew.
Stories passed from mouth to mouth.
And into the pages of history. Centuries later, myth would transform him into something even darker.
A fictional count would borrow his name.
And the world would meet Dracula. But the real Vlad was no supernatural creature.
He was a product of a brutal time.
An era when fear could be as powerful as armies. Scholars still debate how much of his story is truth. Enemy accounts, political rivals, and folklore all shaped his image. Was he monster, hero, or both? History rarely gives simple answers. But it never forgets the impact of fear. Today, his story lives on through film and legend. Each generation retells it in its own way. Fiction often overshadows fact. Yet the real story remains rooted in survival. A small kingdom defying a vast empire. With fear as its shield. Sometimes, terror alone can halt an advance. But it leaves scars that time cannot erase.
The cost of such tactics was measured in human lives.
And in memories that refuse to fade.
So who was Vlad the Impaler, truly?
A tyrant to some.
Point a defender to others.
A ruler forged by endless war. Both feared and remembered. His path through history remains dark and complex. Legends may exaggerate.
But the past still whispers truth.
And reminds us how far the world has come. Where once armies marched, life continues peacefully. History's darkest chapters still shape the present. Names fade, but stories remain. Some as warnings. Others as legends. Vlad's legacy lies somewhere between the two. A man who turned fear into a weapon and carved his name into history. Not as a myth, but as a reminder of a brutal age. History is rarely gentle, but it is always worth remembering.